So whenever I get the trophy, I get my ring, I'm coming back here.
Yes!
And it's very seat, so remember that.
We're going to win the championship. I'm sorry. I said I think we're going to win a championship, but I lied. We are going to win the championship.
Wow.
There's no question the Golden State Warriors are confident in their ability to remain competitive at the highest level. The team clearly believes that they can win another championship and are looking to do so this year. Why? Because Draymond said so. Steph Curry remains as dangerous as he's ever been, and if you don't believe me, look at how Steph Curry is guarded on every single possession. Even if Steph Curry never hits another three, he will never again be defended like a normal NBA player. He's already achieved legendary status simply by name. Imagine being the guy that left Steph Curry open beyond the arc. But it's not just Steph Curry. The Warriors' recent acquisition, Jimmy Butler, has been known to carry the Miami Heat team to an NBA Finals with teammates that struggle to maintain a .500 record. This includes Bam, Tyler Hero, and even Duncan Robinson. Missing from that current roster is Caleb Martin, who's now signed to the Dallas Mavericks, but during his time with the Heat was one of the players who stepped up alongside those three I mentioned. That being said, Jimmy was the clear number one and the catalyst for Miami even being mentioned as a contender. One thing that was uncertain, however, was the team's aspirations during the regular season, as they were never overly competitive and in 2020 becoming just the first 8th seed to reach the NBA Finals since 1999. Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, do these two players have what it takes to lead a Golden State Warriors team to another NBA Finals and self-actualize, winning a championship together in Golden State? We're about to find out, but before that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. Now get ready. You're about to get When rumors of the Jimmy Butler trade started, most couldn't imagine Jimmy in a Warriors uniform. After all, considering the talent that he is, it was unlikely that the cash-strapped and apron-locked Warriors could make a bid for another superstar big enough to pair alongside Steph Curry in pursuit of a championship. Not to mention, after a summer of signing mid-level players, it was starting to look like no superstars wanted to play in Golden State. Goals of signing players such as Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Paul George, and Lauri Markkanen seemed feasible over the break up until the August 6th deadline, when it became clear that Stephen Curry would be the lone established superstar to not have a similarly ranked teammate. The season ahead looked uncertain. All that, however, was washed to the side when the Warriors started the 2024-25 season looking like championship contenders. With a 12-3 record to start, they seemed poised to make a postseason run all the way to the finals, something they've done every year prior that they've had the same or a better record. The Warriors bench was the best in the league on the backs of Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. The Warriors remain near the top of the Western Conference, even defeating the OKC Thunder to reign supreme as they wielded the most unguardable second unit. Unfortunately, it was a short reign as that didn't last. As if it wasn't bad enough that DeAnthony Melton, a key piece in the Warriors starting unit, had gone down with a season-ending injury, the team became somewhat discombobulated. Every subsequent game, the Warriors looked less and less like the same team that started the season. A number of factors, not limited to Hield's regressed shooting, further injuries to Jonathan Kuminga and Stephen Curry, team issues such as late-game execution all contributed to the team's struggles. The team was hard-capped at the first apron with no immediate options for player improvement, and worse, it seemed like head coach Steve Kerr would sooner lose with the vets, old and new, at the forefront than experiment with some of the younger players whom the team drafted over the years. Their record sank to a new low, one which became compounded when Jonathan Kuminga went down for a second time this season, and this time with an ankle injury that would force him to miss over a month of games. Despite going 3-1 since the signing of Jimmy Butler, the Warriors still went 16-24 over their last 40 games. How could such a team hope to recover well enough to even make the playoffs, let alone compete for a championship while sitting in 10th place in the West, with the 16th best overall record behind even the Detroit Pistons? As crazy as it sounds, the Warriors just might have what it takes to win this season's NBA championship, but they'd have to play near perfect for the rest of the season in order to make this a reality. So here's why it's possible and probably even likely. The first is that the Warriors need their number one superstar to play like a number one. Steph Curry has been averaging 31 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds over the course of the last 7 games, with a slight uptick to 5 rebounds over the last 4, showing that his consistency at a high level remains after the addition of the former Heat superstar. While he only shot 34% from 3 during this period, this is on an insane 15 3-point attempts per game, leading the Warriors to a 4-3 record in that time frame. Now obviously, Steph Curry had a bit of help in the last 4 from new addition Jimmy Butler. So how's Jimmy Buckets doing so far as a Warrior? Over his first 4 games as a Warrior, Butler is averaging 21 points, 7 rebounds, and over 5 assists while shooting 45% from the field. While not exceptionally great, it is important to note that these are his first few games with Golden State, and the Warriors have gone 3-1 during that span. It should in fact have been 4-0, as there were some missed calls that the Warriors would like to argue. On the other side of the coin, the games were against some of the lower-ranked teams in the league. The one which they lost was actually to a team that was fairly injured, as the Dallas Mavericks were missing all 3 of Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, and Derek Lively III. This places a few asterisks on the Warriors' recent wins with Butler. However, keep in mind that it takes time for new players to get acclimated, so it might be a wash. At this point, however, we know one thing for sure. The Warriors have 2 superstars who are in great condition despite being much further along in their careers than most competitive teams. In isolation, this doesn't mean a ton entirely. While these 2 superstars are capable of leading the team to a victory in tough situations, they need to get there first. So what truly matters is how everything else comes together. These next few points are what will make or break the Warriors this season. The first is Draymond Green. While Green's numbers have somewhat dipped since the beginning of the current decade, he's actually not far off from what he's given the Warriors during the championship years. While he's not quite as good defensively as he was in years prior, the Warriors have made strides to make up for that with the addition of Jerry Stackhouse, not to mention yet again Jimmy Butler. Both players have carved out careers based on their defensive roles. However, considering the development of his offensive game, Butler ascended to superstar status by combining this with his unique style of play, specializing in the mid-range and off-ball playmaking as well as ISO scoring. The fact is that the Warriors can win if they continue to get from Draymond Green what they have been. Considering in much the same fashion as Jimmy that Green is a playoff riser, the regular season for these players is just a bit of a long drawn-out snooze fest that requires the ability to play at a decent level night in and night out. The only thing affecting these guys is really the fact that they are aging superstars who can only give you their peak performances over a shorter period of time. This means you can get near peak performances from Jimmy, Curry, and Green in a playoff run without a question. But it doesn't stop there. The last important piece for the Warriors is their 2021 first round and 7th overall pick, Jonathan Kuminga. Currently, JK is the biggest X factor for the Warriors who could push the team over the edge. The Warriors have had a better record with Kuminga on the floor this season, yet it remains to be seen how well he fits alongside Butler. We know he made strides in being able to play on the floor alongside Curry and Green, but Jimmy adds a completely new dimension to the team that will impact JK's role. In fact, the current role that Steve Kerr has for Jimmy is likely where he'd like to slot JK, a playmaking athletic wing who can initiate the offense and catch lobs. In the case of Jimmy, however, catching these lobs is sometimes a bit more difficult than it would be for JK. So how do you fit these players next to each other? The first question would be regarding spacing. If the Warriors are to start these 2 players next to each other, Draymond Green would have to be the team starting center alongside Steph Curry and at least one other shooter. This lineup of Curry, Pods, Jimmy, Kuminga, and Draymond would be the best small ball lineup available. Alternatively, Steve could substitute a player like Moses Moody at the 2. The last option in my opinion, which is likely Kerr's first option, would be to have Buddy at the 2 like he has been for most of the past month. However, unless his shooting has returned, this would be a no-go. The law of averages, however, would be in Buddy's favor, so if his shot does in fact return, expect him to be deadly from distance. Otherwise, this would be the worst shooting year. Something that would not look great, especially considering that he's been able to play with the spacing that comes as a result of Steph Curry's gravity. With what could be a big 4 going into the final stretch of the season, one wonders if there are any other factors that could make or break the team. The Warriors haven't been able to find a reliable, skilled big man. However, they have a shooting specialist in Quinton Post, who was at one point in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation at the NCAA level, but who has some improvement to make on that front. He's great for spacing the floor, however, and would complement Jimmy and JK as a floor-spacing big man off the bench. Trey still has some work to do defensively and is limited in terms of offensive ability, but considering what the team gets from Jimmy, JK, and Steph, he doesn't need to do much more than clean the boards, set screens, and protect the rim. So what's the feasibility of the Dubs winning a championship this season? I give them a solid 8 out of 10. If JK hits the ground running when he returns, Jimmy remains an elite two-way wing, and Steph Curry continues, there's no reason why they couldn't go on a winning streak. There's also no reason why these guys with their versatility, shooting, and power wings couldn't lift another Larry O'Brien trophy in the Bay. That's my thought on the idea anyway. But don't let my word be the last on it. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Just be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish.